What if I told you that 99% of people have no real control over their own minds, and that mastering yours could unlock a level of power, peace, and success few ever experience? Today, I'm going to show you how to step ahead of the crowd by mastering the deeper forces within you, so you can finally take charge of your thoughts, emotions, and life like never before. The mind is often mistaken for the conscious thoughts that we experience throughout the day. And those fleeting ideas, decisions, worries, plans that seem to fill our awareness, yet these conscious thoughts are only a small fragment of what truly constitutes the mind. Beneath the surface lies a vast, mysterious realm where the unconscious mind dwells, and it is here that the true power and influence over our lives reside. This hidden dimension of the mind is not easily visible or accessible, yet it profoundly shapes the way we think, feel, and act. Most people go through life assuming they are in full control of their minds, that their choices stem from conscious will and reason. However, the truth is that much of what motivates and drives behavior arises from this unconscious wellspring. It is like the depths of an ocean, while we see the surface waves. The currents beneath guide their movement. These unconscious currents are made up of memories, instincts, repressed emotions, and symbolic patterns that often operate outside of our direct awareness, but exert a tremendous influence. To control your mind ahead of the maturity, it is essential to realize that control is not simply about mastering your surface thoughts or maintaining willpower in fleeting moments. Instead, it demands a profound understanding and engagement with this deeper layer of the psyche. Ignoring or suppressing these hidden forces only allows them to operate unchecked, steering your decisions and reactions from behind the scenes. This deeper mind communicates in subtle and symbolic ways. It reveals itself through dreams, creative inspiration, certain insights, and recurring life patterns. The images and feelings that arise in these spaces are not random. They are messages encoded in symbols and metaphors, offering clues about unresolved conflicts, desires, and potentials buried deep within you. By paying attention to these signs, you begin to unlock the secrets of your unconscious and gain insight into the hidden motivations that guide your life. The process of engaging with this inner world requires courage and humility. It means accepting that not all parts of the mind are pleasant or easily understood. You might discover fears you never consciously acknowledged. Control over the mind, therefore, is not about domination or suppression, it is about integration, bringing together the conscious and unconscious parts of yourself into a harmonious whole. This process transforms the mind from a battlefield of conflicting impulses into a unified compass, guiding you with clarity and purpose. When you understand the unconscious forces at play, you can choose how to respond rather than simply reacting. Most people live their lives unaware of this depth within them. They remain captives of unconscious patterns, repeating behaviors and thoughts that do not serve their highest good. But by awakening to the vast ocean beneath the surface, you step into a realm of profound personal power. You become the master of your own inner world, able to navigate life's challenges with greater wisdom and resilience. In essence, controlling your mind ahead of 99% means understanding the mind as a vast, layered entity and embracing its unconscious dimension is the foundation upon which true control is built. Only then, to truly gain mastery over your mind, you must confront the parts of yourself that you have hidden away, the fears, doubts, insecurities, and impulses that reside in the shadowed corners of your inner world. This shadow is not simply darkness or evil, as many assume, yet, no matter how deeply buried, these elements continue to influence your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. The avoidance of this shadow self is common. Most people prefer distraction, denial, or rationalization rather than turning inward to face their inner conflicts. The shadow carries us pain and discomfort, and the mind naturally resists such experiences. But this resistance comes at a cost. By refusing to acknowledge this hidden power to dictate your reactions, to fuel anxiety, to sabotage your goals, and to create inner turmoil, the shadow works silently and persistently, shaping your life in ways you cannot fully control. Mastery of the mind requires courage. The courage to descend into these shadowed realms and meet what you find there. It is a journey of self-exploration that demands honesty and vulnerability. These questions guide you to the core of your shadow. The process of confronting the shadow often begins with small awakenings. It might be a sudden awareness of a recurring emotional reaction that puzzles you, or a moment of discomfort triggered by another person or situation. These moments serve as signposts pointing toward unacknowledged aspects of yourself. When you pay attention rather than turn away, you begin to peel back the layers of denial and uncover truths that were hidden. Integrating the shadow means more than simply acknowledging its existence. It means accepting it as part of your whole self, without judgment or rejection. This acceptance does not mean you condone harmful behavior or give yourself permission to act destructively. Rather, it means understanding the origins and needs behind those impulses and learning to channel their energy in constructive ways. By bringing the shadow into the light of consciousness, you neutralize its unconscious power. What once operated in secret loses its ability to control you from behind the scenes. This integration fosters wholeness, healing, and psychological balance. You become more authentic, resilient, and self-aware. Moreover, the shadow contains hidden gifts. Within those suppressed parts lie creativity, passion. Avoiding the shadow is easy but costly. It leads to inner fragmentation, confusion, and repeated cycles of suffering. Facing it requires bravery, but offers freedom and empowerment. It sets you apart. In the end, the mind cannot be fully controlled without this courageous confrontation. True control is born not of denial or repression, but of integration, of becoming whole, by embracing every part of yourself. This is the path that leads ahead of 99%. A path that transforms inner conflict into inner harmony and unconscious influence into conscious choice. The journey to mastering your mind begins with the simple but profound act of awareness. This awareness is not just a fleeting moment of noticing what you think or feel. It is a sustained, non-judgmental observation of the inner landscape of your mind. When you become... Most people live on autopilot, swept along by habitual thoughts and emotional responses that seem natural and inevitable. They believe they are free because they are aware of their surface thoughts, but in reality they are caught in cycles formed by unconscious conditioning, early experiences, and unresolved conflicts. These cycles repeat themselves, causing frustration, confusion, and suffering. Without awareness, these patterns remain hidden. The first step toward breaking free is to cultivate a practice of watching your mind like an impartial observer. This process requires patience and compassion. The mind is often noisy and chaotic, filling with conflicting voices and emotions. At times you might feel overwhelmed by this inner turbulence, but awareness transforms this chaos into valuable information. It reveals which thoughts serve you and which are mere echoes of fear, doubt, or habit. Over time, this practice strengthens your ability to choose which thoughts to follow and which to release. Furthermore, awareness helps you recognize unconscious influences that shape your perception of reality. For example, you might notice that certain situations trigger disproportionate emotional reactions. These triggers are not random. They connect to unresolved wounds or beliefs stored deep within your psyche. By bringing these triggers into conscious awareness, you can begin to understand their origin and reduce their hold on you. Another important aspect of this awareness is the ability to observe without judgment. Many people fall into the trap of labeling their thoughts or emotions as good or bad, right or wrong. This shift allows the mind to relax and opens the door to genuine insight. As your awareness deepens, you start to see your mind less as a chaotic jumble and more as a complex system with interconnected parts. You learn to identify recording parts and interconnected parts. You tell yourself about who you are and what your life means. Some of these stories are empowering, but many are limiting narratives learned from past experiences or society conditioning. Awareness gives you the power to rewrite these stories with conscious intention. Ultimately, this attentive observation creates a powerful space between stimulus and response. Instead of reacting automatically, you gain the ability to pause, reflect, and choose your actions deliberately. This space is the essence of control. It frees you from the tyranny of unconscious impulses and places you firmly in the driver's seat of your own life. Mastering your mind through awareness is not a quick fix. It is a lifelong practice. But each moment spent watching, understanding, and accepting your inner world brings you closer to a state of freedom and mastery that few ever attain. This level of self-awareness puts you ahead of 99% because it shifts you from being a passenger in your mind to becoming its mindful navigator. In this mindful presence, your mind ceases to be a source of confusion and conflict and instead becomes a wellspring of clarity, creativity, and strength. Through consistent awareness, you reclaim your power and transform your life from the inside out. The world you experience around you is more than a collection of external events and people. It is a reflection of your inner world. This is a profound truth often overlooked by those who rush through life without pausing to observe the connections between their inner state and the outer reality they encounter. When you learn to see beyond surface appearances, you realize that your perceptions of others and circumstances mirror aspects of yourself, often revealing hidden truths about your own psyche. When someone or something triggers a strong emotional response in you, whether irritation, admiration, envy, or fear, it is rarely just about the external event itself. These reactions are signals pointing inward, revealing unresolved conflicts, unmet needs, or unrecognized potentials within you. For instance, the qualities you dislike or judge harshly in others, these rejected parts, dwell in your unconscious, quietly influencing your emotions and behavior until you bring them into awareness. Similarly, the people you admire, envy, or are drawn towards often embody traits you possess, but have not fully expressed or embraced. These reflections offer valuable clues about your own strengths and potentials that may be waiting to be awakened. In this way, the outer world acts as a mirror, showing you what you have yet to discover about yourself. Understanding this mirror-like relationship between the inner and outer worlds transforms how you experience relationships and life challenges. Instead of blaming others or external circumstances for your discomfort or unhappiness, you begin to see these experiences as invocations to self-exploration and growth. When you take responsibility for your reactions and perceptions, you reclaim your power. You move from being a victim of circumstance to becoming an active participant in your own transformation. This shift is the foundation of true mental mastery. Rather than being tossed about by external events, you learn to navigate your inner world with clarity and intentionality. This perspective also fosters greater empathy and understanding toward others. Recognizing that everyone is navigating their own inner struggles and projections. Furthermore, the patterns you see repeating in your life, whether in relationships, career, or personal habits, are not coincidences. They are reflections of deep-seated beliefs and unconscious dynamics that have yet to be addressed. By observing these patterns, you gain insight into the unconscious scripts guiding your life. Awareness of these scripts gives you the opportunity to rewrite them, breaking free from limiting cycles and opening new possibilities. The outer world, then, is not an adversary to be fought, but a teacher to be listened to. It offers constant feedback on your internal state and progress. By embracing this relationship, you allow your inner development with your external experience, creating harmony between the two. In essence, controlling your mind ahead of most requires the ability to read these reflections clearly and act upon the insights they provide. It means understanding that every emotional reaction, every attraction or repulsion is a message from your deeper self. The more skillfully you interpret these messages, the more empowered you become to shape your life consciously. This reflective awareness dissolves the illusion of separation between you and the world around you. Through this lens, your relationships, challenges and joys become not random occurrences, but essential parts of your inner journey. You no longer need to search outside for validation or answers because you recognize that everything you seek is reflected within you. This realization is a powerful tool in gaining control over your mind and living with intention, grace, and profound wisdom. True mastery over the mind. Integration means accepting every aspect of yourself without judgment. It involves recognizing that even the thoughts and feelings you consider negative or unacceptable are essential pieces of your inner landscape. These parts have developed for a reason, often serving protective or adaptive functions. When you embrace them, you no longer fight an internal battle that drains your energy and fragments your attention. This process is not easy. It demands deep honesty and patience. You must be willing to meet your inner chaos and complexity with compassion rather than condemnation. When you do, the conflicting energies within you begin to harmonize. The turmoil inside settles into balance. Integration also means understanding the messages behind your thoughts and emotions. What do your fears reveal about your values? What do your desires tell you about your deeper needs? What lessons lie hidden in your frustrations or sadness? When you explore these questions, you transform chaotic experiences into meaningful insights that enrich your self-understanding. This holistic approach empowers you to respond to life with greater flexibility. Instead of reacting impulsively or being trapped by rigid patterns, you cultivate the ability to choose your responses consciously. Your mind ceases to be a battlefield of competing forces. Moreover, integration opens the door to healing. Repressed emotions and unacknowledged parts of yourself often manifests as psychological or even physical distress. By acknowledging and embracing these elements, you allow healing energy to flow. This process restores inner harmony and supports overall well-being. An integrated mind is also more resilient. It can navigate challenges without fracturing because it holds a cohesive sense of self. When difficulties arise, you can draw on the full spectrum of your inner resources rather than being overwhelmed by isolated fears or doubts. This wholeness leads to authenticity. When all parts of you are recognized and valued, you live in alignment with your true nature rather than a fragmented self-image or a social mask. Authenticity brings freedom, as you no longer need to hide or defend aspects of yourself. Finally, integration is an ongoing journey rather than a fixed destination. The mind is dynamic and new layers of experience continually unfold. Embracing this continual process keeps you engaged in growth and self-discovery throughout your life. In sum, the mastery of your mind arises from a willingness to integrate. To truly control your mind and rise ahead of 99%, you must cultivate a way of living that is intentional, grounded in self-awareness, and guided by purpose. This intentional living sets you apart from those who drift through life, caught in the currents of distraction, reaction, and external influence. When you choose to live with awareness and deliberate action, you step into the role of the master of your inner world, rather than its servant. Most people live reactively. Their thoughts and emotions are dictated by the stimuli of the moment: news, social media, opinions, and other people's expectations. Their attention fragments and scatters, pulled in many directions without a clear center. This scattered state leaves them vulnerable to confusion. Intentional living is the opposite. It begins with self-awareness. This way of living requires discipline, but also compassion. Discipline to establish practices that support your mental clarity and emotional balance, such as meditation, journaling, or quiet reflection. Compassion for yourself as you face challenges, setbacks, and moments of doubt. These qualities together build resilience, allowing you to navigate life's ups and downs without losing your center. Intentional living also means cultivating solitude. In the stillness of being alone, you connect with your inner voice. You hear your deeper truths without distraction. Solitude is not loneliness. It is the fertile ground where self-knowledge grows and your mind can settle into peace. Another crucial aspect is reflection. Regularly reviewing your thoughts, actions, and experiences helps you identify patterns, assess your progress, and realign with your goals. Reflection turns experience into wisdom. It is a way to learn from the past while staying grounded in the present and focused on the future. When you live with intention, you also become less attached to external validation. You build a strong sense of worth that comes from within, independent of praise or approval from others. This inner confidence shields you from the highs and lows of external circumstances and keeps your mind steady amid life's inner outer changes. Finally, intentional living is an act of freedom. It liberates you from unconscious reactions, social conditioning, and mental clutter. It empowers you to create a life that reflects your deepest values and aspirations. This freedom is not given, it is earned through the daily choice to observe, reflect, and act consciously. By embracing intentional living, you move ahead of most people who remain caught in distraction and reactivity. You transform your mind from a chaotic battlefield into a calm and focused instrument of purpose. This transformation enables you to meet life with clarity, strength, and grace, shaping your destiny rather than being shaped by it. In this way, the mastery of your mind is inseparable from the mastery of your life. Intentional living creates a fertile inner environment where your mind can flourish, enabling you to live fully, freely, as a half of the vast majority